V'karata l'Shabbat oneg. You shall call the Sabbath a delight. These lights we kindle are a symbol of joy. May their brightness lift our spirits and fill our hearts with happiness and peace. And we say together, Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidashanu b'mitzvotav, vetzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. Amen. Shabbat shalom.
Please be seated. The Sabbath has descended to enfold us in its mantle of peace. It brings to us the precious gift of time to embrace family and friends, to reflect more deeply on the meaning and purpose of our lives, and to worship in the beauty of holiness. May our Sabbath always be sanctuaries of love and devotion, bringing contentment to our hearts, happiness to our homes, and blessing to our people.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bachorani L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Seitechem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Let us read responsively from Psalm 97 on page 77. The Eternal One reigns, let the earth rejoice.
Let the many isles be glad.
Clouds and darkness surround you.
Righteousness and justice are the foundation of your throne.
Your lightnings illumine the world.
The earth sees and trembles
Mountains melt like wax before you, O God.
before the ruler of all the earth.
The heavens proclaim your righteousness.
And all the peoples behold your glory.
Zion hears and is glad.
The daughters of Judah rejoice in your judgments.
For you are supreme over all the earth.
You are exalted far above all other God.
Light dawns for the righteous.
Joy for the upright in heart.
Let the righteous rejoice in you.
And give thanks to your holy name.
Yid nefesh avarach Meshochavtecha eretzonecha yarutz etcha kamo hayah yishtachaveh emol hadarecha yerov lo yedidotecha minofetzov v'chol ta'am Galena, ufrotz havivi alai, etzukot shalomecha, ta'eretz mikvotecha, nagira v'nismacha ba, ma'ehu evamoed, v'chonenu ki me'olam.
We continue on page 92, and when you found it, please rise. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMavorach.
Baruch Adonai Havorach Leolam Vaed.
Praise be the one to whom our praise is due.
We praise the Eternal One, to whom our praise is due forever. Please be seated. Let us read together in English. We praise you, Eternal One, our God, Sovereign of the universe, whose word brings on the evening, whose wisdom opens heaven's gates, whose understanding changes times and seasons, and whose will sets the stars in their courses in the sky. You make day and night, rolling light away from darkness, and darkness from light. You make day pass and bring on the night, and separate day from night. You rule the hosts of heaven. We praise you, O God, whose word makes evening fall.
Ahavat olam, ahavat olam, Beit Yisrael, amecha ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, hukim u'mishpatim, otanu lemadata, otanu lemadata, Haken Adonai, Eloheinu, B'shobeinu, תרע, אל תסור ממנו, אל תסור ממנו, לעולמים.
Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Please rise.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed.
Oh, Shem Kavod, Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך. ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך, ובשעריך.
למען תזכרו, ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני, אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני, אדוני אלוהיכם.
Please be seated. All this we hold to be true and sure. You alone, eternal one, are our God, and we are Israel, your people. You have freed us from oppressors and delivered us from tyrants. You led us out of Egypt forever to serve you in freedom. When we witnessed your power, we praised your name and gave thanks. Willingly, we accepted your rule. Then, full of joy, we sang together.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש. נורא תהילות עושה פלא, נורא תהילות עושה פלא. עמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש. אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד.
ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל.
השיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו מלכנו לחיים. ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ותקננו בעצה טובה מלפניך. והושיענו למען שמך, והגן בעדנו, והסר מעלינו אויב דבר, והרב רע ויגון, והחג ממנו עוון ופשע. ובצל כנפיך תסתירנו, כי הם אתה, ושמות צאתנו ובואנו לחיים ולשלום מעתה ועד עולם.
ברוך אתה אדוני, הפורס סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל יושבי תבל.
אדוני שפתי תפתח ופיי תהילתך. אדוני שפתי תפתח ופיי תהילתך.
ברוך אתה אדוני, אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו, אלוהי אברהם, אלוהי יצחק ואלוהי יעקב, אלוהי שרה, אלוהי רבקה, אלוהי רחל ואלוהי לאה, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לפני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי מתים אתה רב להושיע, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מזריח השמש ומוריד הטל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים, צומח נופלים ורופא חולים ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישוע, ונאמן אתה לחיות מתים, ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי המתים. קדוש אתה ונורא שמך, ואין לנו אלוה מבלעדיך. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש. You may be seated.
שמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת, לדורותם ברית עולם, ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת וינפש.
And on page 100, we continue together. Our God and God of our ancestors, may our rest on this day be pleasing in your sight. Sanctify us by your commandments, and make us loyal to your teaching. Satisfy us with your goodness, gladden us with your salvation, and purify our hearts that we may serve you in truth. In your gracious love, eternal one, let the holiness of your Sabbath enter our hearts, and may all Israel who hallow your name be exalted by its peace. We praise you, O God, for the holiness of the Sabbath. רצה אדוני אלוהינו בעמך ישראל, ותפילתם באהבה תקבל, ותהי לרצון תמיד עבודת ישראל עמך. ברוך אתה אדוני, שעותך לבדך, ביראה נעבוד. מודים אנחנו לך, שאתה הוא אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו לעולם ועד. צור חיינו, מגן ישנו, אתה הוא לדור ודור. נודה לך ונספר תהילתך, על חיינו המסורים בידיך, ועל נשמותינו הפקודות לך, ועל ניסיך שבכל יום עמנו, ועל נפלותיך וטובותיך, שבכל עת ערב ובוקר וצהריים. ברוך אתה אדוני, הטוב שמך ולך נאה להודות. Let us pray together. Supreme source of peace, grant true and lasting peace to your people Israel. For it is good in your sight that your people Israel and all peoples may be blessed at all times with your gift of peace. We praise you, O God, the source of peace. Take a few moments for silent prayer.
Say shalom bimramav, oh say shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol bnei Adam.
When a day of glory turns into a day of unspeakable loss, there's only one reaction for the religious Jew. In the face of unthinkable tragedy, the Torah relates, as in our Torah portion this week, Vayidom Aharon, and Aaron became speechless. Aaron, the person whose role it was to speak for his brother Moses, did not become merely silent in response to the death of his sons. For silence implies that a person has words but chooses not to express them. Vayidom implies becoming mute, meaning that the person has lost the power of speech. The Hebrew word vayidom shares a root with domem, which is an inanimate object, such as a rock. As Rabbi Aaron Lopiansky of Greater Washington teaches, following the commentary of Abravanel, Vayidom signifies the diminishment of man from the highest form of existence, a medaber, a speaking creation, to the lowest form of existence, a domem. Or, as Blue Greenberg, known as the mother of Orthodox feminism and the founding president of the Jewish Orthodox Feminist Alliance, puts it, from the perspective of a mother whose 36-year-old son had died in a bicycle accident, the word Vayidom means more than he kept quiet. Vayishtok. Aaron's response to the death of his sons was a response of a profound, shattering silence, a stunning silence, a shocked silence. He does not justify the cruel decree by blaming his sons and accepting their fate as punishment for their sins. Yet neither does he revolt or protest God's action. Total silence. Aaron's response is the profoundest human and religious response to the reality that there are times when good people die unjustly or are consumed in tragedies that seem to be arbitrary, shocking, without justification, and with nothing to ameliorate the pain and loss of those who love them. As I share these thoughts, I'm sure that many of us are thinking of Rabbi Leo D., former rabbi of Radlett United, and his children, and how they can go on in the face of the terrible tragedy that struck them last Friday, when Rabbi D's wife, Lucy, and two of their daughters, Maya and Rina, were murdered in Israel on their way to a family day out. There really are no words to respond to their sorrow. And yet, sadly, Jewish history is a powerful teacher to guide us in how to speak of that which renders us silent. This Monday evening, we will mark the beginning of the annual remembrance of the Shoah, of the Holocaust. In Israel at 10 a.m. on Tuesday, a siren will ring to call on people to stand in silence, Amud Dom. Not only the name Yom HaZikaron LaShoah VeLaGvura, the day of remembrance of the Holocaust and heroism, but also the date linked the remembrance of the Shoah to the heroism of the Warsaw Ghetto uprising. This year marks the 80th anniversary of the uprising. The Warsaw Ghetto was the largest Jewish ghetto in German-occupied Europe. Established by the Germans in October 1940 and sealed that November, the ghetto housed approximately 400,000 Jews. From July until September 1942, German SS and police units, assisted by auxiliaries, carried out mass deportations from the Warsaw Ghetto to the Treblinka killing center. During what was described as the Great Action, the Germans deported about 265,000 Jews from Warsaw to Treblinka. They killed approximately 35,000 Jews inside the ghetto during this operation. By early 1943, the surviving Jews in the Warsaw Ghetto numbered approximately 70,000. Following a few earlier attempts at resistance, on April 19, 1943, the eve of the Passover holiday, the Jews of the Warsaw Ghetto began their final act of armed resistance against the Germans. The Warsaw Ghetto uprising began after German troops and police entered the ghetto to deport its surviving inhabitants. Jewish insurgents inside the ghetto resisted these efforts. It was the largest uprising by Jews during World War II and the first significant urban revolt against German occupation in Europe. In response, the Germans razed the ghetto to the ground. They burned and demolished this part of Warsaw block by block in order to smoke out their prey. By 16th of May 1943, the Germans had crushed the uprising and deported surviving ghetto residents to concentration camps and killing centers. About 700 young Jewish fighters participated in what became known as the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising. During the uprising, the civilian population in the ghetto also resisted German forces by refusing to assemble at collection points and burrowing in underground bunkers. At least 7,000 Jews died fighting or hiding in the ghetto. Approximately an equal number, 7,000, were captured by the SS and the police at the end of the fighting. They were deported to Treblinka. After the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising, the SS and police deported the remaining 42,000 Jews to forced labor camps and to Lublin Majdanek concentration camps. Most of the people were murdered. In the face of these horrors, how can we respond but with silence? I believe that the Jewish way is to respond by telling the story of those who died. The stories of well-known heroes like Mordechai Anielewicz, the leader of the Warsaw Ghetto Revolt, after whom a kibbutz in Israel is named. I actually completely forgot about that until I was thinking about that. The kibbutz Mordechai is actually named after Mordechai Anielewicz. But maybe it's just as important to tell the stories of those heroes who we have almost forgotten. In commemoration of the 80th anniversary, the Jewish Women's Archive is presenting what promises to be a fascinating online history course entitled Women and Resistance in the Warsaw Ghetto. For it was not just men who participated in the resistance work within the ghetto or the uprising itself. Many women from all kinds of backgrounds also played key roles, and some participated in combat. Some were teenagers, some were mothers. Some acted as messengers or helped smuggle weapons. All demonstrated great strength and courage in the face of unthinkable circumstances. The course is presented over several weeks on Tuesdays at 5 p.m. UK time, and you can sign up for free. Just visit www.jwa.org. Alternatively, you may wish to join Rabbi Aaron this Tuesday at 5 p.m. here at the Ark Synagogue to read some of the incredible stories of survival of our own synagogue members, not necessarily linked to the Warsaw Ghetto, yet nonetheless such important contributions to the way we can respond to the tragedy of the Shoah by telling the stories of victims and survivors and coming together, Amud Dom, to stand in silence. Shabbat Shalom. We're not quite going to stand in silence, but instead I'm going to invite you to rise as you get ready for the Aleinu, which you will find on page 520, But just before we get to Aleinu, Very quickly, for those who do the counting of the Omer, because Rabbi Andrew has highlighted to me that I forgot to insert it for Erev Passover service, Erev 7th day. We forgot the counting of the Omer. I hope those who count did count, otherwise you don't get to say the blessing. I definitely didn't remember to count all the days, so I shouldn't really be saying the blessing, but I shall be leading you in the blessing nonetheless. If you want to follow the blessing, it's on page 578, but I suggest you just stick with 520 for the Aleinu. So we just say very briefly, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav vetzivanu al sfirat haomer, hayom tish'a yamim shehem shavua echad, u'shnei yamim la'omer. Today is the 9th day, making 1 week and 2 days of the Omer. And so we turn to the Aleinu. Aleinu leshabeach la'adon hakol, latet gedula liotzer bereshit, asher samchalkenu liyached et shemo, וגורלנו להמליך מלכותו.
ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש, הקדוש, הקדוש ברוך הוא.
שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד ארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושמיע תזור וגופי מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום והשבות אל לבביך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים, בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד.
והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
As we worship before you, O God, we think of those who once shared with us the joys and burdens of life, and who are no longer in our midst. The sorrow of bereavement is softened by the bond of love which continues to unite us with our dear ones, and by our cherished memories of them, which we will always carry in our hearts. May all that was good in their lives remain with us as an influence for good. O God, grant consolation to those who are in sorrow, and light to those in darkness. Teach us at all times to put our trust in you and to praise your name. On this Shabbat, we think of those whose yahrzeit falls at this time. Lillian Landner, the mother of Denise. Michael Meltzer, the father of Ruth Finley. Peter Keynes, the brother of Barbara Kohn. Frederica Ellison, the mother of Ruth. Albert Benny Blind, the brother of Renee Simmons. Theodor Haser, the grandfather of Jutta Haser-Schulz. David Hirsch, the brother of Rachel Rickeisen. Sidney Plax, the husband of Greta and father of Benita and Vivian. Melvin Finley, the husband of Ruth. Sylvia Kingsley, the mother of Judith Keith, mother-in-law of Gary Keith. And we are saddened to share the news of the recent death of our member Galila Newman. And also Len Sampson shares the news of the death of his brother, Ivan. Zichronam livracha, may their memory be a source of blessing for us as we say together the words of Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach hirotei v'yamlich malchotei, b'chayachon v'yomachon v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, b'gala v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'elam u'lalmei almaya, יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו, לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום, עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ועל כל בני אדם, ואמרו אמן. May the Most High source of perfect peace grant peace to us, to all Israel, to all humanity, and all those who mourn. And let us say, Amen. Please be seated. We are going to conclude in a moment on page 526 with Yigdal, because we haven't sung Yigdal for a while, so I thought we'll sing Yigdal. Just a couple of announcements for our commemoration of Yom HaShoah. On the Monday evening at 6 p.m., we will have a very interesting lecture by Professor Dr. Dan Stone, a Holocaust historian and related to the Goldstein family, but invited because he is a well-known Holocaust historian who will be talking about his latest book. So that will be on Monday night at 6 p.m. You can either join us here in person at the synagogue, or you can join us on the Zoom link, which is in the weekly email. And then on Tuesday at 5 p.m. with Rabbi Aaron, a short mincha service, short afternoon service, followed by an opportunity to read some of the stories of survival of some of the Holocaust survivors from our community. It's a wonderful project from quite a few years ago now, that the community recorded the stories of our members, and it's a wonderful record to have, and we thought it's worthwhile sharing again. We haven't done so for a while, so that's at 5 p.m. on the Tuesday. Other than that, there's probably loads of things going on, but I can't think of them right now. So you please check out your weekly email. Everything is in there. And other than that, I think we'll just turn to page 526 and sing together with great thanks to our choir and, of course, to Marc and our wonderful tech team.
Yigdal Elohim Hai, Yishtabach, Nimtza ve'netel metziuto, Echad ve'en yachid, Keyichoto, Ne'elam v'gam en sof le'aduto, Elo damot hagov ve'eno gov, Lo na'aroch elav kedushato, Kadmon lachol davar Hashem ivra, Rishon ve'meshit l'reishito, Hino Adon olam l'chol otzar, Yoreh gedulato u'malchuto, Shefar nevuato netan omer, Anshe segulato v'tifato, Lo kam be'Yisrael kamo she'od navi u'mabit et emunato, Torah temet natan le'am ohel, Al yad nevio ne'eman beito, Lo yahal yifa'er v'lo yamidato, Le'olamim lezulato, Tzofeh ve'yodea setarenu, Mabit lesof davar be'kadmato, Gomel le'ish hesed k'mifalo, Noten l'rasha ra k'rishato, Yishpoch leketz shamim al kol basarucho, Lifdot machakeket Yeshuato, Aye olam nata b'tochenu, Baruch atei ad Shem tehillatov.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. We are going to head to the Osoria Hall for our Kiddush, but I think I'm going to delegate it to Marc, our Kiddush, and stay for a brief moment with those online to do Kiddush here in the sanctuary. Shabbat Shalom. Goodbye to our lives.